Welcome back. This is Tiff, the informal farmer, and I'm just following up on my compost video where I was showing how I compost pig manure. And so right here I have my finished pile. I will link the video up here so you can see my how-to video. But as you can see, that my final product is much smaller in volume compared to how it was a few months ago when I started this. And you could see that here, I still have a lot of sticks and twigs in here that didn't break down, but also we had some new ones that got piled on. So I'll be sifting through it a little bit as I'm moving it. But we're in the middle of winter here in Southern California, so my garden is not really had much going on, but in getting ready for spring, it's time to move this compost pile into the garden. So join me as I show you how I do it. I'll explain a little bit about what else I'm adding to my garden to get it ready for my spring planting.
Hey there, I'm out here in the garden today trying to finish getting it ready for the turnover for the next crop. I might get a couple winter crops in, but definitely getting it ready for the spring. After I'm done taking out my old crops, so here I had all my pumpkins and squash planted, so I've taken all of those out. I've still got a little bit of chard and tomatoes down on the end. I have a multi-step process to amend my soil. I start by adding a layer of alfalfa hay, and then I get some more vegetable soil mix from my local nursery. And I add some other nutrients like compost, some worm castings, or whatever else I feel like the garden beds need to get it ready for the next season. So join me on this journey as I show you how I get this done. So here I'm going to focus on this one garden bed that I've already kind of got started. One of the first things that I do is move my sprinkler lines out of the way. So here I've just pulled the tubing and put it on the outside of my garden, and I've done this most of the way down. So further down here I've still got some tomato plants that are producing in Southern California zone 9B. It still has some tomatoes going, so I'm gonna let those continue to grow. So I will be doing this garden bed, working around that chard up until my tomato plants up here. So after I take out my tubing, my watering system, what I've gone and done is put a layer of alfalfa hay. And sometimes what I do is after I get my plants planted and get them growing, I will put alfalfa hay around them for water retention and cooling. So either I have some of that left or I get a new batch of hay and I put a layer of hay down. And as you can see here, I've lost a lot of soil. So as the season goes by, it either gets more compacted, or if you're growing root vegetables, you lose some dirt as you're pulling those out. So that's my first step. Remove the water system or get it out of the way, and then I put down my layer of hay. So here I buy my vegetable soil by the yard, and I use my old Chevy to pick it up and haul it from the plant store back to the house, and then I have to use a wheelbarrow or I use a gorilla cart to transfer it in closer to my garden. So I've got I'm guessing like 375 feet of garden space, so that's why I buy it by the truckload. And I'm trying to raise it by several inches in all parts of my garden. So I've got 2 yards of vegetable soil here. And I'm not only using that, like I said, I'm going to be amending it with other things to help raise the levels up of the dirt. So I'm just going to be shoveling this into my grill cart and then transferring it into the garden.
We've had about 2 weeks of rain on and off, and I finally get back out here in the garden. So picking up where I left off, I've had a layer of hay, and then I've added my vegetable soil that I get from the nursery. And now it's time to actually take out my tomatoes. I'll trim back my peppers and see if I can save them. And then I've got to pick up the mess that's everywhere else in the garden. So
After all my dirt and amendments have been added to the garden beds, it's time to mix it all together so it's not staying in layers. I use a regular pitchfork to just turn the soil so that everything can be combined. After turning the soil with a pitchfork, I get in there with my hands to really mix it up, even it out, and I like the fact that I get to inspect what's going on in my soil. I get to see the composition, see if it's too sandy, too much clay, or whatever. And while I'm in there, I get to see what kind of bugs, here's a grub, what kind of bugs are in the soil. And when it comes to grubs, I don't really want grubs in my soil, so I pick them out as I go along. Plus, they're a super tasty treat for my chickens. And then I also get to see what kind of worms are in the garden, or if there's any other pests like pill bugs, potato bugs, or roly-polies, or any spiders or anything like that that might be going on. I continue with pulling bugs and mixing the soil until I'm satisfied with getting out all the clumps and all the bugs. After that, it's time to start smoothing it out. So I just continue with my hands and kind of make sure the soil's spread evenly and smooth along the surface. Ensuring a smooth surface is valuable when it comes time for planting seeds so that you can assure they're all planted at the same depth. It helps for visualizing where your crops are going to go, as well as making sure everything gets watered evenly. That's it for today. Thank you for joining, and don't forget to join me next time when I start talking about our pigs, how we get them set up for farrowing, and introducing you to our new baby pig.